If you're doing a Shakespeare, you don't have to go, cut. People understand cut.
Yeah, oh, I get that, yeah. It's like in Shakespeare plays when I say, I've got to go to France.
Yes, quite.
I'm going to York.
Yes.
How do you, I couldn't tell you where the ring road was from here. Jude, a question I'd like to ask you is why do you love Shakespeare so much? Why does he mean so much to you?
Well, my family, my pa was a doctor, as you know, and he could recite the whole of Hiawatha, and our house was full of people who used to come in the evening. My mother used to play the piano, and I could hear them singing. We all knew every word from of Gilbert and Sullivan. We used to sing in the car. We always were learning things. We didn't, of course, have television, so we were always learning things, and we were taken to the theatre. Because I once remember going, when I was about 8, I think, going and seeing Ben Travers' Cuckoo in the Nest at York Theatre Royal. And there is a scene where 2 people are in bed, and suddenly a blanket box opens at the bottom of a bed, and a man stands up in vest and pants. I laughed so much that I made myself sick, and my ma had to take me out and take me home. The wonderful thing about the story is she took me back two days later to see what happened afterwards, because I didn't know what had happened at the end. And so we were always a family who recited things. And I mean, my brother Jeff was an actor long before me. I was at Stratford. He is still, I think, probably now, although he's not with us anymore, holds the record of being there longer than any other actor consecutively. And he used to, as a small boy, he used to say, for once upon a raw and gusty day, the troubled Tiber chafing by the shores, Caesar said to me, darest thou now, Cassius, leap in with me into this angry flood and swim to yonder point? Upon the word, accoutred as I was, I plunged in and bade him follow. So indeed, well, you don't want me to go, because I could go on for a long time. So in our family, it was always a kind of, Shakespeare was always very important.
And you saw Peter, didn't you?
And I saw, the first time I ever saw Shakespeare play, I went and saw Macbeth, and my brother Peter, my older brother, was playing Duncan, and he walked in and he said, what bloody man is that? I thought, what bloody man is that? Is this Shakespeare? It's swearing too. I thought, this is for me, this is for me. And I just, you know, somebody once said, iambic pentameter and the beat of Shakespeare is the beat of your heart. It's true.
That de-dum, 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 de-dum.
For once upon a raw and gusty day. You know, it's you know when you miss anything out.
Yes.
Because it's like a heartbeat that slips.
I saw something wonderful the other day. I went to see a very good production of Cymbeline at the RSC. Really good production. And at the end, Imogen, which is a part you've played, is reunited with her 2 long-lost brothers. And there was a family sitting, I was in the circle, there was a family sitting down the stalls, and there was a mum and a dad, and between them were 2 little girls. I swear to God, they couldn't have been older, or 6 or 7 years old. And they were just watching, they were still. And this, it's not the easiest of plays, Cymbeline. It's very, very complicated. And what happened was, as the 2 boys came forward to reintroduce themselves to Imogen, so that the siblings were reunited and neither parties knew that each other existed, this little girl turned to her dad and she just went, she became so overwhelmed and pointed and kind of sat up, and you thought, there is a life changed.
Yes, she'll never forget that.
But in this, and I know we joke about that story, but you saying about what bloody man is this or what bloody man is that, you go, but I had that experience as well of seeing something in the theatre. You go, there is a pilot light that's been lit, and you will love Shakespeare now for these words that will change you for the rest of your life. And I saw it happening in that moment.
Oh, wonderful.
And isn't that why we do it as well? Again, this is not the object of the book, is to make someone passionate about Shakespeare. And what I love about it as well, your approach, Jude, it's not pointy finger, it's not finger wagging, didactic. It's none of that. It's it's palms up, it's palms open. You offer it up and you say...
Well, there's no one way to play anything, is there?
For instance, when you talked about, brilliantly, when you talked about Ophelia, and you said when you were very, very young, your instinct, when Ophelia has her mad scene, is to throw the kitchen sink at it. You want to be mad on every single line. But then what you talk about then, I'll leave you take over, but you said...
Well, the older you get and the more you do and the more you play, so you know that the less you do is much more effective, that the one gesture you could do that would convey that she was mad is much stronger and greater and more powerful than you might be mad all the way through.
Yes.
Do you know?
Yes.
You just have to convey one thing.
So how would you do that? So for instance, when...
Well, I don't know, it's how you choose to. That's what's also so wonderful, right? You don't have to choose, you don't have to do it on any particular line. You can choose the moment that you might... I mean, for instance, she walks in and says, she said, "Where is the beauteous majesty of Denmark?" Mm-hmm. Well, the one person she probably wouldn't look at is the Queen.
Right, who is the beauteous majesty of Denmark?
Where is the beauteous majesty of Denmark? And she might curtsy to somebody who was just standing in the background, being a courtier or,
And it's that one moment then that tells you that
then you
mind
think,
is
oh,
out
hello,
of
there's
sync.
something,
Yeah.
something
She's
up
not well.
here.
She's not
it's
well.
not too tightly wrapped.
No, that's true. That's true.
But less, it's that thing you always learn, the more you do this job, that less is more.
Yes.
It's a hard thing to learn, because when you're young in the theatre, you try every way of expressing something, but in actual fact, the answer is, but you can only arrive at this answer, I think, when you have tried everything else, is that, as again, less is more, that one thing to convey something is more powerful than trying it on every line.
But who taught you that? How do you arrive? Did you start off as an actor like that, or did you learn from other actors?
No. Learn from watching other actors.
Like who? Who would?
Like John Neville, and Richard Burton, and Michael Redgrave, and Coral Brown, and
Peggy
Barbara
Ashcroft.
Jefford, and Peggy Ashcroft, and John Gielgud,
Yes.
who were great mentors of mine, and who I worked with.
I'll let you into a secret. I tried this chapter out on a friend of mine who doesn't like... I tried it one chapter out, and I said, just read these 12 pages, and it was about Macbeth. She hated Shakespeare at school, and she came back and she wanted to buy the book. Because she wanted to buy the book. Not only did she want to buy the book, she said, I want to now go back and read the play. And this is a person in their 50s. And our approach we arrived at this, and I think what's refreshing about this book is we don't talk about the overall play, because that would run to hundreds of volumes, but it's just
specific.
Yes. But through the eyes of one character.
Yeah.
So we get to
and that's not necessarily the only way to do it.
No, of course not.
We've made that clear, because that's important too, because it's up to everybody to interpret something in their own way.
But we get to see the play just through Cleopatra's eyes, or through Lady Macbeth's eyes, or through Imogen's eyes, or Viola, and that's what's wonderful about it. And it means that you're in the thick of it. You're seeing the world of the play through the mask of that character. But also, you tend to, there's two things. You don't like talking about yourself, and you certainly don't like talking about your craft. And I never knew whether that's because you don't want to intellectualize it, or because you don't want to kind of spook yourself or give the... I don't know what was the reason for that. And yet, for this book, you've been, although I've known you for 27 years, you've been the most revealing about your craft.
I was a child when we met.
I was a child. You were a child when we met. But you've been I would like to think it was my incisive, brilliant questioning as opposed to your kind of openness.
Oh yes, I think that's what it was.
I think it was, Judi, I think it was. But you've been so open about the craft and your approach. And
I keep coming back to that thing, less is more, because that's what you have the kind of courage to do. And when we're young as actors, you think, oh, well, I've got to throw everything at this in order to tell it. And in actual fact, the secret, of course, of it is that we come back again to it. Peel it back. Convey jealousy or with one thing.
yes.
Or you know.
Yeah, to find the essence of it.
Yes. Otherwise, we'd never go and see anything with a kind of, with a kind of wonder of thinking, God, I'm going to be told this story in a different way.
Yes. Yeah.
There's another way of telling this story.
Yes.
There's another way of believing this man who's so insanely jealous about something, or there's another way of seeing this young man who is so hopelessly in love with this, but we all have different ways of expressing it.
Yes. You've always said to me, "Oh, I just work on instinct. I can't intellectualize it." And yet, forgive me, but that was what at times was infuriating about putting this book together. I would say, well, what is going through Ophelia's head there? Or what is Viola thinking of that when it explains itself. And I go, yeah, but we can't put that in the book, Jude. That would be a very short book. It would be like 4 pages long. So I kept on pushing you. We'd have an argument about, well, it's this, and of course she's thinking about that, and it's this. And suddenly we'd have a great chapter on Viola. It is honestly, without sparing your blushes, I thought I knew quite a bit about Shakespeare, but you've shifted my thinking on so many parts and the approach.
I hope that it will be a kind of rather different approach to reading about Shakespeare and our relationship to him. I hope it's. I do hope that it will be something that might be interesting to people who are playing parts in Shakespeare. That they might find it entertaining or informative.
Does it take being older to sympathise with the older characters in Shakespeare? It's easier when you're young.
No, it takes, I suppose, older or the more experience you have. Because he wrote about every single emotion that we all feel. Every single emotion is in all those plays. Not all of them in one,
yes.
But throughout all the plays there is every emotion that we might feel.
Yes.
And therefore it resonates with you. And if you've ever been in love, then nobody expressed it like Shakespeare expresses it when he gives those lines to Romeo and Juliet.
Yes.
Or a play I've never been in, which I wish I had, was Troilus and Cressida.
Yes, or the sonnets.
Or the sonnets.
Yeah.
I mean,
yes.
Oh dear.
But then you said to me because I remember asking you the question, which I know is in the book, and I was saying, does it take being a parent to understand the kind of mothers and fathers in Shakespeare? And you pointed out with Polonius, you said, you've got to remember, this man is, yes, he is all those things that I'd said. He's a bit of a buffoon, he's a bit chatty, you
don't hear about his wife.
You don't hear about his wife. And you said he's a single parent trying to bring up 2 children.
I think that's right.
But that's what I mean about you. What's brilliant about the play is you don't come at it from an academic point of view. It's purely from it's a human point of view. You draw out the humanity.
But that's all the people who are watching it, isn't it?
What do you mean?
Well, think of all the people in an audience. They could refer, they could sympathise, or they can...
Identify?
Yes, identify with somebody, they can identify. And so the smallest thing that you may overlook can be something that can be huge to a member of the audience because they can identify with it. I mean, this only applies if the play's done well.
Yes, yes. So, sometimes when I teach, I tell the students a story that when we did Little Night Music together, and I played Henrik.
You did.
And Henrik is a hopeless character. He's hopeless, and he's in love, and it's unrequited love because he gets the girl in the end. It's a wonderful part. And at one point in the play, Henrik tries to kill himself, and I had to jump off a chair with a noose, and he's so hopeless, Henrik. The rope was too long, so he can't even kill himself. He's absolutely hopeless. And he used to get a nice laugh in rehearsal. Then I tried a few previews and he got nice laughs. And then one night I thought, in the audience of 1,100 people, there is either somebody out there who's either tried to kill themselves or knows somebody who's tried to kill themselves. And I thought, don't I owe it to that one person to try to do this, play this moment as honestly as possible? And it completely shifted my thinking in terms of acting. But it just goes back to what you were saying. If you are jealous, you know that somebody out there, even if it's Leontes who goes from 0 to 60, you think there'll be somebody out there who will identify with that jealousy. And you can't send it up or camp it up or turn him into a monster. You have to find the humanity to try to reach those people out there who are feeling those things.
And all those, or any young person who's ever felt love in any kind of way. I mean, the things that Romeo and Juliet say to each other.
Yes.
I mean, if you know, it can actually ignite something. I think it's not just, you know. Somebody once said to me recently, "I'm going to go to see." I can't remember what the play was. We'll say it was Romeo and Juliet. Is it in that funny Shakespeare language?
Okay.
You know, he's not some stuffy writer. He was able to somehow understand about all those situations, about jealousy, about love, about envy, about ambition. About you mention it, and they're in the plays.
But we say his words now, don't we? And we say his
say it all
phrases
the
now.
time.
The word assassination.
And people, yes.
No one had said the word assassination until I think it was Macbeth it's first mentioned. Trammel up the consequence. Yeah, that big speech. If it were done when 'tis done, then 'twere well it were done quickly. Is that the right one? Yeah, I think it is that. And the word bedroom, apparently. Shakespeare coined the word bedroom. It used to be known as bedchamber. And I think lonely was his. There are so many phrases and words that we speak in Shakespeare now.
Oh yes, I think all the time. He's completely Shakespeare. I mean, he is completely integral in our language.
Yes.
Perhaps we don't realise it so much.
To be honest, when I first sent the book off to Penguin, I thought they would cut my voice out of it and they would appropriate some of the things I've said in order to key you. I thought that was what they'd want. But what they seem to have responded, well, I did think that.
Well, that's rubbish.
Well, no, but I thought they'd want that. I thought they'd want that. But what they like is, I think they like is dialectic the right word? It's certainly the dialogue between us. So it means because we are quite cantankerous throughout it as well. Aren't we? I mean, we do fall out and we
You're
fall
most
out.
cantankerous.
No, you're most cantankerous.
No, you're the most.
No, but I've cut
You're
my.
definitely the
I've
most.
cut all my
Don't
cantankerous.
do cutting. Don't have to do that. We understand cut. You don't have to do that. That's actually a
I'll
very
cut
good
that
note.
way.
If you're doing a Shakespeare, you don't have to go cut. People understand cut.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, it's like in Shakespeare plays when I say, "I've got to go to France."
Yes, quite.
I'm going to York.
Yes.
How do you? I couldn't tell you where the ring road was from here. But actors in the theatre, and when they say my heart is bleeding, my head is so. I know where your head is. I know. I was saying something really intelligent there, but I think the kind of dialogue approach goes to. No, by the way, I've cut out all the cantankerous line that I say. When I got kind of beady, I've cut all that out. So you just come over.
You don't have to keep doing that. We don't understand what cut is.
But what I'm
saying.
Don't do it in a terrible Welsh accent. Don't do it. Yes. Hello. Dame Judi, yeah. But I've cut out all my cantankerous lines and questions. So it just means you come over as quite unpleasant and repellent.
Fine.
I come over as angelic.
Fine.
But I think the kind of the dialogue approach helps it come across as there's not one way of playing Shakespeare.
Well, that's right.
Yeah.
There are so many. I mean, everybody will have a different approach to it.
Yes.
Everybody has a different sense of what grief is, of what love is, of what jealousy. Everybody has a different,
of course,
amount of that, and it's only the amount you have yourself that you can possibly convey.
Yes. What is the book in a few words? What would you say?
What would you say?
It's about play. It's a book about being a child and imagining.
It's not an intellectual book.
Yes.
In any way.
No.
It's about somebody that we feel we know rather well. and and the discovery you can make about that person through the number of plays. That the last thing you have to do at a Shakespeare play is go and be bored. The very last thing. Hello, I'm Judi Dench.
And I'm Brendan O'Hay.
And our new book, Shakespeare, The Man Who Pays the Rent, is out now.
I think also, and I did try to keep removed from it. I just did a gesture for removed as well, didn't
You
I?
did. We understand removed. You could cut.
How, forgive me, how the f*** they can bleep that out? How did we write this? It is a miracle. It is a miracle.
With difficulty.